with a big stand like Stone Cold with a few beers. Play the game, I end the game, I'm champion, I'm Triple H. Undertaker, I'm your maker, bury the brother like Kane. Ooh, 1-3, hit the tombstone, hit the choke slam on face. Ooh, yeah, like a macho heel, tell like I'm some muscle. If you sell a lot of tomatoes, I'ma keep a couple models. Ooh, and you may call me HBK. When I'm tuning up the vein, you best be getting in my way. Ooh, yeah, I'm degenerate, I love it, yes, I love it. If you wait down with that, then I got two words for you, suck it.
Welcome everyone to your longest running Australian wrestling podcast and now Philippines #1 wrestling podcast on Apple Podcast, Wrestle Radio Australia. I'm your host, Todd Eastman. Thank you so much for joining me this week. This is a very special episode and I'll explain why in just a little bit. But first, I just want to get some actual wrestling stuff out of the way before we get right into this episode. First of all, congratulations to Sam Osborne, the new PWWA champion, winning it in true heel fashion. Congratulations, sir. It's a big accomplishment. It's a big promotion and one of the guys that has a big future in professional wrestling is Sam Osborne. So congratulations to him. But also I want to say congratulations to and best wishes to Harley Wonderland, who over this past weekend had her last match for the foreseeable future. She's going off to do adulting, as she puts it, and just congratulations on a great career. One of my favorite people that I've ever worked with behind the scenes is Harley, and going to watch State of Origin in Adelaide at the Highway Tav was one of my favorite memories of working with her. Not even like working with her, just hanging out with her. And one of my favorite people that I've worked with over my journey is Harley. And she deserves the best things in life. And hopefully she'll have all of those now that she's stepping away from wrestling. And we never know, we might see her back sometime in the near future. Who knows? Because it's wrestling and whoever really retires. So yeah, congratulations to Harley on a great career. Went out in a blaze of glory with Charlie Evans in a hardcore match at Newey Pro on the weekend. So congratulations to her. And also just that PWA show in general over the weekend, Prize Ball on Parade. Great show. So if you get a chance, do go on Fight app and pick it up and watch it, because it was a really good show, top to bottom. Lightspeed Expressing, it's Aussie Open, great match. That could have went for another hour and I would have been very happy with it. And stuff leading into the future with Velocities and them turning down the Velocities challenge for their belts. So we'll see what's going on in the distant future or the near future with that. And on that note, I don't know if I should do this as a views segment or just do it as a normal open segment. I'm just going to do it as a normal open segment because A, I'm lazy and it saves me editing, and B, it's just probably easier to do it this way. It is Men's Health Month in June, and this week in particular is Mental Health Week. And so in that vein, I put out on Twitter, well, before that, I messaged my guest this week, Jake Nova, because he is one of my best mates. And not only that, he's also the guy I manage. One of the best wrestlers, in my opinion, in Queensland, and probably close to, if he really had the chance to show around the country, he'd show around the country. He's one of the best, I feel, in the country. But he does have that whole thing a lot of people have, where we all have our issues and all have our stuff that we have to deal with, and he's I'm grateful enough that he's coming on the show to talk about all of that stuff. And we do get into a lot of raw, open stuff in this episode. And I just want to quickly go over some of the stuff because it is Men's Mental Health Week, like I mentioned in the stuff. I just want to go over some stats because they are quite startling when you read them, and I'll put them up on the screen now. We lose 6 men per day to suicide. That's more men died by suicide in 2019 than the entire Australian road toll of 2019-2020 combined. Men are 75% more likely to commit suicide, and on average, 1 in 8 men will experience depression, and 1 in 5 men will experience anxiety at some stage of their lives. Now, that doesn't tell you that this is an epidemic and not a pandemic like we've been dealing with ourselves. But if anything, it's probably exacerbated that. The pandemic's probably exacerbated this epidemic we're going on at the moment. And that's why this is they say June 14th to June 20th, Men's Mental Health Week is a week of action. And I've put up here, what can we do to try and help? And as he's checking with the mates, I'm doing that on this episode. I'm going to check in with Jake. We're going to have a chat. Well, we've already had a chat. We've recorded it. Check in with a loved one. Check in with yourself. Have a conversation. Have one conversation with a bloke about mental health. Hug your mates and encourage conversation. That's something that really I do here pretty much every week on the shows. I encourage all of that sort of stuff. But this week in particular, make a concerted effort to do that, to reach out to your mates, to reach out to somebody. Encourage conversation. Always encourage conversation about mental health, because it does help. I know that for a fact. I know that from experience. And I think if more people talked about their problems, and more people were open about mental health, the stats wouldn't be what they are. And hopefully just awareness in stuff like this and other things that are going on, the stuff that the guys and girls from Gotcha for Life do, and Beyond Blue and Lifeline and all of that sort of stuff to try and help this thing is great. And I really do encourage you supporting them in any way, shape or form you can. And in that note, with that note, we'll go to Jake Nova right here. This is not really a wrestling episode, just so you know. So if you're not interested in hearing two guys basically catching up and talking about their mental troubles or issues that they've had, then this is probably not the episode for you, and I understand that completely. If you do want to listen to and maybe learn a little something about a couple of people, maybe something that you can apply to your own life, I really hope you do enjoy this episode. I enjoyed my chat with Jake. Very, like I said, very open, very frank conversation. And that is right here, right now on Wrestle Radio Australia.
Woo! Showtime! King's back! Ah! Yeah.
I am joined by my good friend, Jake Nova. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you? What's going on? Long time no speak on the show.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're very busy with your Twitch universe over there, mate.
Oh crap! You know what I forgot, Todd? Some light. Forgot some light.
I thought I thought it was all just mood lighting, mate.
Nah. There's no mood here. Well, I mean, only good moods. You know.
I thought you were, because we were tackling a serious subject. I thought it was all like you were going all dark and serious on me.
No, I legitimately just forgot my lights, but now we're saved. Professional streamer.
Yes. I'll give people a warning. Both of us have a little bit of a cough. I don't know where I got mine from, Jake, but so there might be times.
Hang on. I want to just show you something before we move on. One sec. Here we go.
COVID free.
If you can see that. Says COVID negative. So just so everyone knows, I went and got tested. I'm negative from COVID. I'm allowed to do whatever the fuck I want. All right?
It's all right. We're allowed to swear in this, even though I am, the number one wrestling podcast in the Philippines. I'm still allowed to swear.
Hey, there's a lot of people in the Philippines.
Yeah, well, honestly, that whole thing was some group sent me an email to try and get me to subscribe to their analytics website. So it tells me what my rank is everywhere I've on each platform, and sort of gave me these things as statistics for what I am in certain countries and all that. And just when it said had like, you are number one in wrestling in the Philippines, it cracked me up. I'm like, who from the Philippines is listening or watching Wrestle Radio Australia?
I don't know. Like, you'd be surprised how many people like stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, enough to make me number one.
Well, that is true. That is true. The thing is, like, social media is the way now. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily like where it is. It's just the way that people are living. So it's a good thing for you. It's a good thing for me. So take the little wins. You know what I mean? Take the little wins.
Yeah, I will. It's funny you sort of mentioned that, because the subject of today's podcast is mental health. It is Men's Health Month, June. So I thought, as a bit of a different thing, instead of always talking to guys just about their careers and all of that sort of stuff, I would I put the call out on Twitter and that sort of thing. But before I did that, I also messaged my mate Jake and wanted him on the show, because I know that mental health and that sort of thing is a big priority in his life, as it should be in everyone's lives. And he's very open about talking about his sort of stuff. And so I thought, what better than to demonstrate talking to your mates is what you should be doing, is by me talking to my mate. So how are you, Jake?
Good, mate. First of all, honestly, thank you. You were super. You know what? You and Brooksy were two amazing people, because I guess, to give people a little background of I guess the foundation of how we got to here, even though men's mental health week sort of lined up perfectly with what we're going through. I've been down and out sick for about 2 weeks roughly. I had tonsillitis and laryngitis combined, very close to getting pneumonia. So I've been on antibiotics doing that. But that sort of happened right before the Brooksy match. Now, how much that played into me not performing to a standard that I was proud of on the night. I know, like you guys saw me, I was a little bit just off sort of mentally, and I had my coat on basically the whole night until probably sort of just before the match, trying to stay warm. Like, I had a bit of a fever and stuff like that. So probably shouldn't have wrestled, but at the end of the day, everyone, a lot of athletes always just put themselves through a lot, because they hold themselves to being tough, I guess. And then after that match, I just basically, there was a lot of, I guess, weight just from outside pressures that also just made me feel a lot more down about it. So that's sort of how we got to this point, I think. So
it's definitely it was definitely one of the reasons, yes, because I saw you were down, and we had a bit of a talk on the night about it. And I sort of just wanted to check in on you again, because, like I said, I consider you one of my best mates, and I always want to make sure that my mates are okay. And the problem with us is, and it's not so much a problem, but I feel like I talk to you all the time, because I pretty much pop in on your Twitch stream all the time. But it's not it's not the same. It's straight out not the same.
Yeah. And Twitch is very much work.
So it's just it was sort of the thing where, well, no, I want to have a proper chat to him, and I probably could just do this by giving you a call and having a chat to you. But the best way to show other people, and as well as that I've been very upfront with talking about stuff like that on the show. It's one of the things that ever since Josh had the methadone spray and committed suicide, really affected everyone that was friends with him and all of that sort of stuff. And I sort of made it a part of a mission of the show to always inject a bit of that mental health side of it into the show, to maybe help people. And I know that it has, in the past with episodes we've done, helped people with their issues. So I thought the best way to demonstrate it, like I said before, is to just to say, do you want to come on and we'll talk about stuff? And I've got Bobby Bishop coming on later on in the week to talk about his stuff as well. So it's great. I love the fact that people want to reach out and talk about it in a public forum where it can show other people that aren't in a public forum that it's okay to chat to your mates. It's good to chat to your mates. It's good to get these things off your chest.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one thing I want to preface this. People need to also understand. I think I think there's a lot of people these days that talk about mental health that really A, don't understand, and B, treat it as a bit of a pity party for themselves. And it's not that. Like, you need to realize that there's a difference between stating your own problems and putting other people first, or their mental health, because they're in, I guess, a worse way than you. So I think one of the things that people need to do is make sure you don't have to be, messaging your friends constantly every day and stuff. Just be there when they are there. You know what I mean? And in that, for instance, you know what I mean? I spoke to you and Brooksy, and you guys haven't, overly abundant me with messages and stuff like that, but you were just there when I needed you, if that makes sense. So that's what it's about. It's just being there and understanding that people go through shit. Don't use it as a tool to get where you need to go or manipulate people. But if you do have problems and you genuinely want to get them off your chest, then it's okay to talk about it, So yeah, I don't know how you feel about all that, but I noticed a lot of people putting stuff out, and a lot of the time it's a lot of attention seeking, and please don't use it as an attention seeking tool. I think, mental health is more about you giving than receiving sometimes.
Yeah, it can be sometimes hijacked by people that just want to be told that they're great, which is
Yeah.
I mean, if that helps them, I guess that's okay. But in the long run, I don't know how much it helps. If that's what if you're constantly, that's your go-to every time, then I don't know if you're improving yourself in any way, because you're getting that validation. So you're not working on yourself. You're just, it's not like I feel down, somebody please tell me I'm great. It should be, I think anyway, I feel down. Why do I feel down? How can I stop this from happening repeatedly?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. Self-analysis and self-love is, at the end of the day, the best therapy for it. You can't expect people to be there for you, because that's not always the case. And be honest, like, I would say 90% to 95% of the people in your life, honestly, like, I don't want to say don't give a shit, because that's not the correct way to look at it, but you're not going to be their first priority. You know what I mean? You've only got a couple of handful of people in your life that actually genuinely care and would put you before them. So you need to really look at yourself and realize that not everyone can be there, you know what I mean, for you. You need to sit down and you really got to look in the mirror. I've always said this: look in the mirror and just work out what it is that's affecting you. It's okay to talk to people, you know what I mean? It's okay to call your friends and do that sort of thing.
It's
I'm not
good
saying
to do.
don't.
Yeah, it's good to do it, because oftentimes getting it off your chest helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's good to just hear, you know what I mean? Sometimes I think one of the biggest realizations people can have is they say, call a friend, I'm going through this. And then their friend turns around and says, you know what, so-and-so just bloody passed away or something. And you had no idea. And it's good. It really flips your mental state, I think, from being like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, is my stuff really that bad sometimes compared to other people, So talking always helps.
And I feel like I know myself, especially anyway, I get very down on myself. Like, doesn't matter what I do, a lot of times I just don't think it's good enough.
Yeah.
And it's something that I have to deal with. And I have to just go, well, it's probably not that bad. It's just me being overly critical of myself. Like that, for instance, that the new logo for the show.
Mm-hmm.
I made that up over the weekend, and it really took a lot for me to even do the whole rebranding, because I was like, I don't think it looks good enough for me. I don't think it looked good enough, and all that stuff. There was a combination of that and the fact it hadn't changed for so long, because I didn't want to change it, because it felt like that was the last thing of Josh's that was going. And it was sort of like a two-pronged sort of thing. But like I
Yeah.
did it last night and I feel better for doing it because it was something that I felt like the thing I needed to do it for a while, like just a refresh of the
Yep.
brand because it's been that logo that I've been using for 8 years now. So
Yep.
it was sort of time to change that. And the only reason I was holding on to it really was because of Josh. But
Yep.
knowing Josh, he would have wanted to do it himself. So
Sometimes, ripping off the band-aid is the best way to do it. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't want to do stuff because it hurts. You know what I mean? My biggest thing for that is, you know what I mean, like relationships. A lot of people stay in toxic relationships and stuff like that when they're not going to work out because they're comfortable. Sometimes ripping off the band-aid is the best cure for everyone involved, and it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard skill to learn. It's not something I've mastered at all. Like I'm terrible for just letting things, I guess, marinate into things that are worse because you think that things don't affect you, but subconsciously they do, you know?
yeah.
So it might not be at the forefront of your mind, but you will notice that the roots of it in your life, I think. So yeah, just if something's got to be done, you really got to try find the strength to fix those things, as best as possible.
And I was kind of wondering, like, because for a lot of us, like going to wrestling and wrestling and all of that sort of thing is a sort of a good mental release in a way, sort of thing. When COVID happened and all of that sort of shut down, is that why Twitch became more important to you? Because it was like that was your way of getting I don't know, your mind, not your mind off things, but just like a different, like you were active.
No, to be honest, Twitch has made me 13 bazillion times more money than I've ever made wrestling. So Twitch
So
is a
$5.
big yeah, exactly, of the cent, but yeah. Twitch is a big financial thing for me. It's not something that I take lightly. I started not that seriously, I don't think. And look, it was a bit of a replacement to wrestling, but as you've seen over time, wrestling and Twitch have really come together. I don't really consider one over the other. I would probably put Twitch first just because of that financial aspect, because it's a part of my income now. So it's basically a job, and if you got to work, you know what I mean, unless you're one of these guys with contracts and stuff like that, you really do have to put work and livelihood first. I know a lot of people want to say, work as hard as you can and make all these sacrifices and stuff, but at the end of the day, I think that affects people mentally a lot more than what they understand. And I know people could definitely attest to that. There's a lot of guys that go overseas, struggle with mental health because they put everything, to the side and concentrating on wrestling. Sometimes it's very good to just sort of look after your own nest a little bit and try to take wrestling a little bit. I'm not saying don't take it seriously, just realize that you don't have to sacrifice. You have to work hard, but you don't have to sacrifice everything, including your mental health, to be successful at wrestling.
Well, you look at as an example, mate, Mikey Nichols. He sort of got his dream where he was working for the WWE, working at NXT, but what he was doing there wasn't making him happy. So he came back to Australia with his wife and his child, and now he's happier than he's ever been. That sometimes what you think is your dream isn't your dream at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the biggest realizations I had. Look, I want to preface this with, I do not want to discredit anyone that's made the WWE. I don't want to discredit anyone that's currently in WWE, because you guys are amazing. You know what I mean? All those guys that have made WWE, fantastic workers, deserve the world. WWE is just a bit of a pit at the moment for just sucking in talent and really grounding them into nothing. You know what I mean? It's very hard. Like making WWE is like that's one part of the fight. You know what I mean? Making it in WWE is the next part where, you know, it's hard to be successful. And then being happy in WWE is another hurdle within itself. You know, there's a lot of different parts to WWE. And for me, traveling and training every day is just, that's not me. Like, that's not me. As much as I wanted to be a wrestler growing up, that's not me today. It never was. Like, I'm very much a keep everything in check sort of person. And make sure that I'm sleeping in my own bed, because that's one of the most mentally stable things for me, is when I can get out of bed the next day from my own bed and be refreshed.
Trust me, as his manager, I know he doesn't like traveling interstate.
Joel Bateman, you need to book me, all right? Death match, I'm coming. I swear to God, that's going to happen. RCW, I'm coming for you guys too.
See, he's been saying this for how long have we been working together?
It'll happen. Hey, it's going to happen. I promise you, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Like I mentioned that about your Twitch stream for this reason and this reason only.
Yeah.
I remember when you first started it was just you playing games and you would talk to the people while you were playing games. And I noticed now that it's slowly just migrated into you just occasionally playing a game, but mostly just talking to everyone. That has to be helpful to you in certain ways. That has do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that you'll find with Twitch is a lot of people probably look at my stories or whatnot. If you follow me on social media and stuff like that, a lot of people probably think it's just a shits and giggles. And Twitch isn't about that. There's people in the Porpoise Patrol, which is a community that we call it. Don't even ask how that originated. It just sort of is what it is. Like, it's very, like, I got to be there for people. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that come on stream, and that's the way that they release their negative energy, is coming into the stream, releasing it in the chat, having, you know, all the friendly faces and names that they always see there, having me there doing absolutely dumb stuff to keep them entertained and get their minds off their life. And it helps me too. Don't ever think that streaming is easy, but it is a big release. Like, there's a lot of things that I say to my stream just to get it off my chest, because, you know, it feels better when you've got a group of people telling you, you get 50 different opinions, and you're like, you know, like, sometimes you just turn around and you go, is it really that bad? You know what I mean? And I'll be honest, there's people in my stream that have saved, I don't want to say saved my life, because I don't think I'll ever be suicidal or anything like that. Like I don't get like that. Like, I appreciate living, even though like I get down, but they've saved parts of my life that may have been let go or forgotten because of the advice they've given.
Because you've dealt with this sort of thing for a long time, because you're bipolar, aren't you? So it's sort of like,
yeah,
you've sort of dealt with this sort of stuff for a long time. Whereas I know, like, I can only speak for myself personally, and I never had any anxiety, any depression, anything like that until I hit my 40s. So for me, it sort of just hit me like a ton of bricks. Yeah, because I didn't know what it was. I straight up just did not know what it was I was going through, until my wife was like, she recognized the signs from what she had suffered from. Otherwise, I didn't know myself. So how has that made you able to deal with or able to handle stuff better or worse, or how does it affect you? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know a hell of a lot about bipolar, so I that's why I'm asking, I guess.
Yeah. All right. I guess the first part of the question is bipolar has many different phases. Mine comes in a very manic form, which means a lot of the time I'm just over. And even though I don't have any energy, I'm over energetic, and I just, mouth just keeps moving, keeps doing stuff, do dumb decisions, because, you know, I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, it doesn't matter at that point. That's a very dangerous way to live your life. Sometimes I think it's more dangerous than having the more depressive side of it. Because the mood swings aren't like people think. It's not like you wake up one day and you're happy in the morning and then you're moody at night. That's not how bipolar works. Bipolar is very wave ridden. You're either down or you're up. And it can lead either side to favor either side. And for anyone who knows what manic is just annoying. Like, it's just an annoying thing to have. The other part of that is anxiety. Now, anxiety is a super tough one because a lot of people think they know what anxiety is, but a lot of people don't know what anxiety is. To give you some real insight, like to what I go through with mine and how real it is, and what I go through, and Tempany can attest to some of these things that I've been through. The other, like right before the Brooksy match, went to get my hair cut on the Friday, and I literally was sitting in the seat with an apron on, and I physically felt ill, like I was gonna throw up, like just from, man, I don't know why. I hate being trapped in public when you feel like you can't go anywhere. It makes me sick, and I actually think I'm gonna throw up. I had to literally, I said to the girl, I'm like, just stop. I'm gonna leave. Like, I have to leave the hairdressers right now, and took off the thing and left. Still had a clip in my hair and everything. Like, anxiety is such a real thing, you know. Like, I had a fear of driving for a while, a fear of eating in public. Like, I literally could not eat in public for a good year and a half, 2 years, just from some stupid experience that happened. Anxiety is very serious, and people who say they have anxiety really need to sit down and be like, do I have anxiety, or am I just worrying about nothing? You know, and that's a very fine line. I understand that, but anxiety will, if you do have anxiety, it'll control your life. Like, I don't think you can control anxiety. Like, anxiety is pretty much in control of you. It's just when it arises, and if you can stay out of the situations that make it show its head. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's about just writing it out. I have to write it out and realize it. It's not a real, like, it's, things are going to be good. Like, when I had I had a really big, like, you know, I had a really big anxiety attack where for it was about 4 weeks there. I reckon I slept maybe 3 hours a night because I just couldn't sleep. I was just like that anxious feeling in the pit of your stomach, and I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't. So it was affecting everything, because you can't make, when you haven't slept, you can't make good decies. You don't have energy.
Sleep is very important. I've learned that in the last couple of years.
So that's, I guess that's how, and I just sort of had to wait and write it out until it worked its way out, I guess. And then try to, like, when there's, I know I can see now where there are trigger points where it starts happening, and I can stop it. I can, you know what I mean? It's about noticing those warning signs and go, oh,
yeah,
hang
absolutely. And I think one of the things that make it so hard is people think that for instance, me stopping the hairdresser and walking out of the salon, like, that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think we beat ourselves up a lot because we have anxiety over things, and we like, I do it a lot. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I become ashamed of myself, but there's no shame in whatever. It doesn't make you a different person. It doesn't make you any less tough. It doesn't make you any less of a human. You just gotta learn that, you know, sometimes grabbing life by the throat, if you have anxiety, and doing what needs to be done for your own mental health is sometimes the strongest thing you can do. You know what I mean? Like, that is really being you. And this is one thing that I encourage to people is just be you. Who gives a shit who likes you and who hates you? It doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
But it's also important not to over internalize it, to reach out to people for help if you need it, because you shouldn't be afraid of doing that. It's just straight up, you shouldn't be afraid of doing that.
And it's okay to preface anxiety to people that you're with. Like, for instance, you know, if I had my eating problem as much as I did back then, you know what I mean? And just say if you're going with friends, it's like, look, like I don't really like eating in public. There's no shame in saying that. Like at the end of the day, who gives a shit? If you're happy and healthy, that's all that matters.
Mm, yeah. Oh, believe me, when it comes to like having food issues, I have massive because I've never actually said this before on the show. I have texture, food texture issues.
Oh
Whereas
man, that's me with fish. Hate it.
I can't eat this.
Go on.
This is why it's why I can't eat salad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I've tried. When I went on my huge health kick, I tried. I tried to do this whole, you know, when you make a burrito and you wrap it in bloody lettuce instead of having a tortilla like thing because of the flour, it's the carbs and all of that sort of shit. I tried and I can't. As soon as I start chewing on it, it just my body wants to get rid of it. I have no idea what it is. I have no idea why. I mean, I could go to a therapist to get over it, sort of thing, but I just move on.
The thing is, let's just analyze that at the end of the day, and I'll give you some of my situations. I cannot eat fish. The feeling of fish is disgusting. Mushrooms, hate. Olives, hate. And that's just because of the texture of the food and just like something in the taste. And you know what? Like, let's be real. Do you really need to go to a therapist because you don't like salad?
Like, oh no. But if you wanted to get over it, there was because my one of my old housemates, she is a behavioral therapist, and she works with kids that have problems with their speech and all of that, and also with texture issues. And she started to try and help me, and I was just like, look, I feel stupid doing this. So and then I just didn't do it because I'm fine. Really, I just don't eat salad. I don't make friends with salad.
Yeah, salad is just like look. If you don't like food, you're an adult.
Yeah,
you're an adult. You don't have to eat salad. You know what I mean? If it's hurting you to physically eat, don't eat it. Like I'm okay with not eating fish. I'm okay with not eating mushroom and all these things that I don't like. Like just because my body feels like it rejects them when I eat it. Like, is that really a crime? You know what I mean? It's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Who cares? Yes, sometimes it sucks when you go to restaurants. They might not have anything on the menu that you can eat, but who cares? Like, that's what I mean. We take everything because of the day and age we live in, and because we're so connected and we can see other people, you know, like enjoying food and out and people who love eating, you know, like we take that and we internalize that and we put more pressure on ourselves. And at the end of the day, those people don't rule our life. Like they have nothing to do with this. Like, you know what I mean? So try not to put too much pressure on yourself because of eating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also it was something I can't remember who said it, but it's something I read the other day. It was like social media is the snapshot of best part of everyone's lives.
Yeah.
So
social media is fucked. Like,
yeah, it's much as, and then I was actually gonna bring this up next because as much as you and I use it to promote our things, like your Twitch channel, this podcast for me, wrestling for what we do, as much as there is good that you can do with it, there's also a hell of a lot of stuff that can mess with your head as well, isn't there?
Absolutely, and this is what I'm going through a lot. Look, I don't want to talk too much on behalf of a lot of things that have gone on in my life, but social media can really mess you up. And the problem is, for me at the moment, I'm so deep in it that I can't really let it go because it's become part of my livelihood. What I need to do is learn to, I guess, understand that social media is not real life. Like, let's be honest, it's not real life. Like, if you go on, for instance, most people's Instagram, they, like you said, it's a snapshot of some of the stuff that Tempe and I take, or like friends, it's all bullshit. Like, it's all just bullshit that we, it's like, you know, place and face.
it's ESPN highlights of everyone's life is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, look, I will say this one thing for Tampany and I with social media, because Tampany is massive on social media and we both work with each other, you know, whether it's taking pictures or just whatever. And our social media lives interact as much as they can, you know what I mean? Like the stuff that we promote, we actually genuinely like, you know what I mean? We use these brands. We're not going to promote anything that we don't endorse, use, or are companies that have been shit to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you've actually started wearing underwear now. I mean,
yeah. Step one, plugs. Step one, go over and use Nova 10. I believe that's going to be bumped up soon, but I need to wait to chat to them. Look, outside of the brands that we use, all the pictures are bullshit. And all the pictures that other people take are bullshit. All the stories that people take is bullshit. Like it's literally just, you know, it's like watching a movie through social media. That's all it is. Like all my stories are all my best photos and like artwork, and you know what I mean. Like girls like put so much pressure on ourselves with like, you know, like. Let's be honest. If social media wasn't a thing, how big would things like you know, like lip filler and injections and stuff be? You know, it puts a pressure on us where I don't think it's a bad thing. At the end of the day, do whatever the hell you want to do, but try and make sure you're doing it for you and your life, as opposed to doing it for Instagram. If you're doing it for Instagram, make sure that it has purpose, you know, make sure that it's going to make you money and that's your livelihood. Don't invest personally, emotionally, and mentally into social media. You know, use it as a tool. It's basically a job application is Instagram and stuff like that. Use it as that and think of it as that, and don't get too caught up in it, because lately I've been way too caught up in it, and it just messes with your head a lot.
See, that's the one thing. Like, I've been at this podcast for, like I said, 8, nearly 9 years, probably more, nine going into 10. And seriously, the only things I've ever made off this podcast is I got my first mic, which was given to me by Cookie, who ran Submit Clothing, and Submit was one of our first sponsors. And rest in peace to Cookie. I love that guy. He was someone who really helped us out to start with. And everything that I'm like, I say it on the show every week, anything that I make when people buy like Wrestle Radio Australia t-shirts and all that sort of stuff, I don't take any of that myself. I just move the profits on to the Gotcha for Life and Beyond Blue, because the whole idea between when Josh and I started this thing was to help Aussie wrestlers get their names out there, help Aussie wrestling get their name out there. And that was the whole thing. It wasn't about we want to make millions and we want to get sponsors and we want to do all that. That was never even a thought. If anything, I think Josh wanted to get sponsors just to cover our costs. And I just take that as that's just the for me, it's the cost of doing good for people, is that I take on that cost myself. And it doesn't bother me, to be honest with you. Would I accept it if somebody said, yeah, here, we want to pay you cost? Sure. But it's not something that I'm aiming for. I want to make this show as big as I possibly can, but it's not so I can make money. It's so I can help wrestlers and wrestling in Australia be as big as it can be. So yeah. I think that's why it hasn't affected me so much, but it still does. I mean, it still absolutely affects me when I read sort of things.
Sorry, excuse me. I would find a lot of people are probably struggling right now, a lot of Australian wrestlers. We went through a massive growth explosion in terms of everything. And even Queensland started to get bigger and build and stuff like that. And then it all got shut down with COVID and stuff like that. It really stunted and held back what was possible of what we were onto. And I guess a lot of people are probably struggling with that too. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's pretty well documented on here that, like, I think Queensland got affected the most because we lost.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
We lost AWL, and for me, that wasn't just losing somewhere I loved working; it was losing my creative,
a shining light, a promise, an outlet.
It was also my creative outlet, like booking those shows and booking with Zero Jesse is I love the stuff I love doing. I love using storylines, using my ideas to help grow people, to see the growth in guys like Xander, in guys like Sebastian, in guys like now Mitch coming up. To see all that growth, that to me is worth, like, because I know, like, I'm a manager. I don't give a shit what happens to me. At the end of the day, I'm there to get people over. So what happens in my career happens. But if I can see these guys like Xander go to PWA, to see Mitch and Sebastian going to Farley Dojo, and hopefully go further from there, to see all that stuff happen, that to me, I feel as good as possibly they feel for doing it, because I feel like I had a good hand in that.
Yeah, absolutely. You've always been willing to take the bumps and not take the bumps at the right time, and do pretty much, like, I'll be honest, you pretty much do whatever I say at the end of the day, which is, you can't really ask for more. You know what I mean? And sometimes if you tell me something's dumb and I sit and I think on it, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's actually fucking dumb. And then vice versa, you've made me do some dumb shit. But I guess here, going back to the mental health aspect of things, just to like preface a lot for me, like, I'm 33 now for people who don't know. So I wouldn't say I'm old, but my body is definitely not healthy. Like, I just can't do the things that I used to be able to do. I can't do the things that I want to do. I can't, like, I'm just slowing down in general. And I don't think any sort of working out or getting fit is going to help me, because it's not superficial injuries at this point. It's very internal injuries that aren't going to basically ever fix themselves. And a lot of wrestlers go through that, you know what I mean? Because I've been wrestling since I was 14. So that, you know, whether it was backyard or as going to WCW Australia, MIW, all that sort of stuff, and the journey that I've had, that's nearly 20 years of beating the absolute shit out of my body. Like, I've taken some dumb bumps. I've done some dumb shit. I've done a lot of things that a lot of people don't physically go through and take the physical trauma. But the thing that sucks now is being in a state that I am, with everyone so elevated, because the quality of content that's getting put out there now, like if you look at PWA and MCW and PCW, RCW, you know, EPW, so many fantastic companies in the country. And I know if I was fit and healthy and had my body back to what it was, I can hang and you know, do all these things, but I can't now because I'm restricted. And there's probably a few guys that really feel like that. Like, let's be honest, Davis Storm is an absolute aberration of a human. Like, he can, at his age, I don't know how he does what he does. You know, and are we all good?
Yeah,
Did we
we're good.
cut off?
No,
oh yeah, it looked like it cut off. You paused for a second.
Yeah, you're still paused, but I can hear you fine. So keep going.
Yeah,
there we go.
Like, yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal at his age, and the health that he's managed to retain in his body. And I'm jealous of guys like that have been so.
You know, the thing is, though, I don't want to cut you off, but
yeah,
I truly believe that what you're thinking is you slowing up, and what you're thinking is you just not being able to do what you can do, is 80% to 90% mental. Because I've noticed it, and it's been something I've been wanting to say to you, and this is probably here we go, guys. You're getting to see something real. You're getting to see something real. I've been wanting to say to you for a while, because I noticed that in promos, you would just be like, oh, I'm a little beaten up now and I'm a little old and I was like, you're none of those things. The fact that you keep saying all these things is manifesting to you in your mind. And I think
Look,
if you, this is just me looking from the outside, because I actually watch you work and I know there's nothing like, you haven't lost a step at all. I'm sorry, dude, you haven't. As much as you think you have in your head, and I think that's you just being uber critical, as you always are of yourself. And you compounded it by like, oh, it's because I'm getting old, blah, blah, blah. And it started manifesting itself even into your promos. We're like, oh, I'm getting old now. Maybe you lost a step or two. And I'm like, dude, you have not. I mean, as much as you think that you and Brooksy didn't have a great match, that was still a good match. I mean, especially with the stuff you guys had to deal with the height of the roof cutting out half to most of your offense and all of that sort of stuff. It was still a very good match. And no one in that crowd thought that was an average match. But you did. But you did. And you think you lose, you've lost a step or two. And I simply don't think that. And believe me, if I thought that, I would tell you, because you know this about me.
Yeah. Look, here's one of the things is as much as I work to make the crowd happy, I still hold a standard on myself of what I put out there. Look, is some of it mental? Probably. Like, I completely understand where you're coming from that, but I can attest to this through, myself and my wife. My back is just so jacked up. Like, and you've heard me complain about it a million times. I just don't have any movement in my lower back. And it's got to a point now where I'm wrestling every match and all I get is just headaches from bumping. Like, and that's mostly related to neck and back. And my back is literally the biggest thing that's holding me back from being able to physically tear up the ring. With you wouldn't believe how much your lower back plays into so much that you do. Like, it's really a pivotal point of being able to flip. And what happens is sometimes my back will be loosened up, and you can tell in those moments, because you can tell by how I flip when they're clean and quick and nice. It's because I've got free movement. When they're not, it's because my back is at that point where it's literally restricting my movement. And if I could do something to fix that, which there is no foreseeable fix unless maybe like you operate, and then at that point you may as well just retire. There's nothing that's going to fix that for me. So a lot of it is mental in terms of taking stuff too harsh, and the mental aspect goes to my work ethic. Mentally, sometimes it's that drive that you lose because you're too like, what am I doing this for? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just over it, but there's definitely some physical elements that have stopped me from doing it and have then played into my mental health, because I just can't do what I want to do. You know what I mean?
I just, you know what I mean? I
agree with you. Like, being okay, for instance, let's just look at basic things here. Being able to do a backflip is 50% physical, 50% mental for people that want to do it. Like, a lot of people are shit scared of doing backflips, not because they can't do it, because they don't want to break their neck. You know what I mean? But they're probably not going to break their neck. Like, backflips are nearly safer than front flips half the time, that's one of those things, you know what I mean? And that's probably 50% of my battle a lot of the time at the moment as well. So you are right to a sense, but I definitely know that there's things in my body that are restricting me from doing and moving as clean and as fast as I want to. Like, you've watched me come from being able to hip up cleanly to struggling half the time because I just can't do it.
Yeah, man, but that was your first match back in a year, and you bugger all worked out before then. And then you're like, I can't do a kip up. I don't know why. I wonder why.
No, and that was one instance. It hasn't. That's not the only instance. As we got close to the end of the AWL, there were times where I just wasn't moving as crisp as I wanted to. And there's probably a lot of guys out there. Wrestling is a drug, right? Wrestling is definitely a drug. And I want to say this to all those guys that are 30 plus and really feeling the beat up part of it, but can't walk away like me. Like that's one of the biggest things is I can't walk away from wrestling. It's been part of my life for 20 years. I want to walk away at this point just because it is in my best interest for my physical and mental health to do so. But it's also best for me and my mental health to make sure that I have that outlet of creativity. So at this point, so what I'm doing to combat this is I've been heavy in the gym, trying to loosen up and work my body because the gym actually makes it looser. Contrary to belief, you would think I would get like more tight and stuff like that. And you do get sore, but it definitely like helps me loosen up a lot in terms of core and back area, just because you're getting that strength of muscle back in that area from lifting heavy weights as such. But yeah, there's guys out there that probably struggle with the mental health and wanting to walk away, but not being able to walk away because it's good for them as well. So,
but also
you're not alone.
The gym would also be helping with your mental health as well. Wouldn't it? Getting yourself back in and getting active. And I think the worst part is being inactive. Fantastic.
Yes, because it's hard to get out of being inactive.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue is I've had times where I've been an absolute gym junkie, every single day of the week. And that's the point that I'm at the moment. Like it takes a lot for me to have a day off. But the gym is so good for your mental health because you're seeing the best reflection of yourself. The hardest part is starting up, especially when you are starting from being out of shape and trying to see those quick results, because it's not a quick process. You know what I mean? When you come in, 10 kilos overweight, and I was only at a point where I was 10 kilos overweight. You know what I mean? Like there's people out there that are 30 and 40 kilos overweight. That's the hardest part, is trying to get through that beginning stage until you start seeing results. And as soon as you see results, bang, your mental health, like your confidence will just rocket through the roof,
My biggest,
and that does wonders for me.
My biggest problem is that I'm an emotional eater as well.
Yeah.
So if I'm happy, let's go out for dinner. If I'm sad, I just want to sit at home with some ice cream. That's one of my problems. But
the biggest thing I can say about in regards to diet, like I wouldn't say I eat unhealthy. I wouldn't say I eat healthy, but I just eat what I want to eat. You know what I mean? And people will sometimes people who have the discipline to do macros and stuff. Like Tempany's one of those people who has the discipline, but she treats it in a different way. It gives her purpose and reason. For me, I want to eat stuff because I don't want to wake up one day and really feel like a burger or something and be like, oh, I can't eat a burger. You know what I mean? Because that just fucks you up in the head too.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly the best thing that I can say is try to outwork what you eat, if that makes sense. If if you're eating a burger, you know what I mean? Just be like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this burger, and later on, I'm just going to absolutely smash the gym. You know what I mean? Because you can counteract a lot of what you eat by burning energy,
And like I said, like we've been saying, everything sort of feeds into that mental health, because the more you do that sort of stuff and the more you get active and the less you feel guilty about doing certain things, because if you know you're going to work it off, then that improves your mental health as a side effect of being active and doing what you think is the right things to do.
Yeah, being active is important. Most people will be like, I just feel like sitting on the couch these days. Like, that's okay. One thing I think we do to ourselves is we go, you know what, I feel like laying on the couch today. And then some people will be like, oh no, but I have to do this, this, and this. And they go do those things and then mentally strained for the rest of the day. Sometimes it's okay to just lay down and do nothing. Now, that's not every day. You cannot do that every day of life, but sometimes it's okay to just do nothing. And sometimes it's better to just work through it. Like, just allow, you can't allow yourself to dwell and sit in your sorrow for every day, but there are some days where you can just be like, you know what, fuck the world today, I'm just going to lay on the couch, call in sick, take a day off, do stuff like that,
But don't wallow. That's a problem too. It's sort of like you need to know what the difference is between having a mental health day or like wallowing in self-pity when you should be trying to help kick yourself out of this thing. And even if it is like we've said many times right now, calling a friend and going, look, I've got this fucking issue, or can we catch up somewhere for a beer? I need to have a chat. And I think that is the most important thing, is just being able to have people out there that you can go, look, can we go and have a beer or something? I need to have a chat. Or if you got some time, just want to have a chat while I'm fucking doing this, and that sort of thing. Because I think really we should just, and I tell you all the time, if you need it, I'm always there. Call me. Like, it's as simple as that. Just sometimes people knowing that there's someone there if they need to is enough. They don't need to talk about it. They know there's someone there. But if you need
sorry to cut you off. One of the things that I think is hard for people, and I think this is what I'm super probably don't give people enough sympathy for. I'm very lucky, right? I'm very lucky. There is a shit ton of people that support me and that are there for me. Like, I have accomplished things in life that have given me access to so many ports of venting, you know what I mean? Whether it's good friends like yourself, friends from growing up, whether it's, sometimes you can just turn around and call some of the best workers in the country and be like, hey mate, I feel like shit. You know what I mean? That's a privilege that, like, I'm lucky to have. And not everyone has that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who don't have those things. But that's where I think you got to wake up and really establish and really do a bit of a witch hunt. And I encourage people to do this because it's very important. It helps you reason a lot of things. Work out who is there for you and who is not, and stop trying to pretend that some people are there. You know what I mean? And if you do have, one or two people that you can talk to, it's something that a lot of people don't have, So yeah, you just got to work on that part of your life.
And also, if you feel like there's no one out there that you can talk to, there's no one none of your friends that you feel like you can talk to, there is always Lifeline. And there's always Beyond Blue, and those people are trained to help talk to you, to help you work through your issues. And I think it's you shouldn't be ashamed that you'd have to call them, or that you need to call them. You should just call them, because and believe me, I know this from experience, and I've said it before. If Josh had just reached out to a Lifeline or something like that, then maybe he'd still be with us. I know a lot of us have lost friends just through the statistics alone. Like, they say 6 men, is it 6 men a week, or 6 men? I'll just, because I don't want to get it wrong. 6 men a day in Australia lose their life to suicide.
Take their own life. Yeah, right.
And that's more. Here we go. There's another one. More men died by suicide in 2019 than the entire Australian road toll of 2019, 2020 combined.
Yeah, and you know what plays into this a lot? It's modern day society. Like, modern day society is so much heavier on mental health. Like I said, through these things that we talked about before with, social media and just stuff like that. Like, sometimes it's better to just not have any social media. Like I said, you really got to work out the boundaries between, are you living on social media? Are you living in a connected world where you're taking the pressures of the bullshit that you see on social media to heart? that is 100% the biggest thing, because what happens is you may say, well, this guy didn't have social media. Okay, but what if his wife did, that they had a kid with, and she left him because she believed that she could get something better? And I'm not blaming anyone of things like this, but that's how social media affects us, and then that in turn may cause that. Now, it's never okay to kill yourself, guys. Like, killing yourself and committing suicide is something that I don't agree with, but it forces people into that mental state because someone else made or was crumbling under the pressure of social media. And both are a weakness, you know what I mean? Both are a weakness. So we need to learn to control those aspects of our life much better, which is hard to do, you know?
Yeah. See, I used to be, when I was younger and when I was dumb, I used to was like, oh, if you commit suicide, you're a coward. And I've got no respect for people that have done that. And now I've grown to realize that a lot of the times those people couldn't help it. And
absolutely.
Those people there was something wrong and they needed help.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I don't encourage people to commit suicide and stuff like that. Like, never, ever, ever. But at the same time, like, I understand why people do. And I think that's part of the battle, is understanding what forces people into these corners that they can't get out of, you know?
I understand that why they do, and it makes me so sad that they feel like they had to.
Yeah. One thing, like, this is going to be a really controversial topic, and please cut me off if I'm allowed to bring it up, is the whole Chris Benoit story, man. Like, it's sad what he did. Like, I understand that, and people are so like they hate him for it, but like, what got him to that point? Like, something affected him. Like, he loved his wife and kid. Like, if anyone ever says he didn't love his wife and kid, he to take their own life, that goes beyond how much someone loves someone, you know what I mean? It something caused him into a point where he was that mentally fucked up that he didn't know any other way, and he felt like it was the only way. Now, I don't condone murder, I don't condone suicide and stuff like that, but you need to have a reason of understanding. Just saying he's a bad person is a really, really pessimistic, closed-minded way to look at it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was a person that did bad things because he was very sick for some reason.
Yeah.
And unfortunately didn't realize or didn't think that that he was that bad. And then it hit a point where he thought there was no other way but to do what he did. And it's so very sad. It's so sad that it happened to his wife, his son, but it's sad that it also happened with him. Like, it's that whole situation is sad. There's not one thing that you can be angry about. You can be angry that like her family, of course, can be angry because that's what happened, and that's But it's just,
you have
sad.
a right to be angry.
Oh,
you definitely
100%.
have a right to be angry. Like,
but
it's okay.
It's just sad that something wasn't recognized and he wasn't able to get the help that he needed before that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where movies like The Wrestler and stuff hit so close to home for people like me and stuff, because I definitely know that I don't operate at a mental level that I used to. And a lot of that plays into wrestling, whether it's the pressure of wrestling or the constant bumps, you know what I mean? And we need to look after each other as wrestlers, you know, like, make sure that you're there for your friends and people, and treat everyone in a sense where, look, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm fucking innocent and don't, you know, talk shit to people and whatever. And not like, that's a natural part of life. Do I say it's the right thing to do? No, but just be there when people need you. Like, if someone comes up to me, regardless of whether it's a rookie or the shittest wrestler on earth or the greatest wrestler on earth, and they say that they're struggling with something, like, you treat them with the same respect as you would treat everyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And just and not just in wrestling, in life, just be there for each other. I think that's the most important thing, is that we're all there. I know this is men's mental health week, it's men's health month, but men, women, we should just all be there for each other. If somebody needs to talk, listen. And sometimes that's all you have to do is just listen to them. If you can see that there's something wrong with your mate, just go, you're right. Do you want to have a chat on anything? Are you okay? I noticed something's a little off, man. Are you okay? Something like that. Like I think I said it to you after the show, after that match. I was like, "You're right," because like I can notice there was something a little off in you.
Yeah, and a lot of that, like a lot of my dramas on that night just came down to me being a lot sicker than what I thought I was. Like I've just literally gone through 2 weeks of absolute hell in terms of being sick. And sometimes that plays more into your mental health. Like the thing with me is I'm always going to be all right because I've never been a suicidal person with those tendencies because I don't
See, those
I don't
suicide
operate on that level.
suicide or not though, it's still like you check in with your mates. Like I'll always like I don't care though. I care if you're suicidal, but I don't care if that's what the end result would be. If you're not happy, if you're upset, if you're sad about something, and if just talking to me about it will help you, I'm going to listen because that's what we should do as a society. We should listen to people that need help and help them, even if it is just sitting there and listening.
And sometimes it comes down to, and this is why I say I'm not suicidal. Sometimes it comes down to like self-analysis of situations. You know, sometimes you got to take yourself away from the present and sit back in third person and really look at yourself in the situation and be like, okay, here's the situation. What can I do about it? What's going to make it better? And then one thing I think that a thing that people really need to learn is really get a fire inside you when you know there's a problem. Like I've literally just gone through it, about a month ago, like literally a month ago, where I had to really broke down. And then the next day you've never seen a man get out of bed as possessed as I was. And now you're starting to see, the physical results of it. Yes, I'm tired, mentally strained, but would I change it? No. You just sometimes got to light that fire and get out of bed the next day and be like, all right, well, let's go. What do you got? Because I'm not done,
Well, mate, thank you for coming on and talking about all this sort of stuff. Like I said, it's important that we do it. It's been good to actually just talk, because at shows we don't really get, as much as we get a chance to hang out, we never really get a chance to talk because I'm always off with like 3 other fucking matches. And
always outside of shows, everyone's busy. Everyone works and has got kids and other shit going on. Like other things like this, like your podcast. Like everyone's always busy.
Yeah, and you live on the other side of the world, so it's like
it's not that bad. Come on, it's not that bad.
Fucking outback Jack over there.
In the country.
Anyway, like I said, thank you so much for coming on, man, and having a chat. Like, very important that we get this message out to everyone, especially this week. Not just this week though, but for every week. For people that want to follow you, maybe watch your Twitch, because a lot of times on his Twitch channel, he does get into the old DMs, the DNMs, and does really talk about a lot of this sort of stuff. It's one of the reasons why, not just the fact that he's one of my best mates, it's one of the reasons why I had him on today, because I know he's good at talking about this stuff. He's good at expressing his feelings. So for people that want to follow your Twitch channel and all that sort of gear, mate, how can they do that?
All right, so it's over at twitch.tv/the Jake Nova. So if you just remember the Jake Nova, you will definitely wind up finding a lot of my socials. The Jake Nova on Instagram as well. They're probably my biggest 2 socials. You can follow me over on Twitter. I believe it's twitch.tv/the Jake Nova over there as well, or there's just the Jake. Pretty much if you put in the Jake Nova, you're going to find all the socials. On Twitch, guys, if you're ever feeling down and stuff, like look, sometimes we get into some really interesting topics, like whether we're talking about, the PC culture and cancel culture and whatever culture. The biggest thing that I can offer you guys, I think, is I give people, like, I'm a person that just looks at things from a rational point of view and never try to get too wound up in either side. You know what I mean? Like, just break down things and analyze it and give people a new way. And some people don't like it, some people love it. So if you want to check out that sort of stuff and talk about mental health as well, come over and say hello.
He's very rational unless you talk about unboxing pops or calling him a boomer.
Okay,
other than
unboxing
that,
pops is Satan.
No, it's not. It's not, and we're not going to get into that.
It is.
No,
it is. It's if you unbox pops, you may as well just bloody go to satanic. You know what? It's okay to go to Satan's satanic church. Do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you want to do. Also, don't call me a boomer.
Mate, thank you for coming on the show, mate. I love you, bro.
That's all right. I love you too. I you know what? The love isn't just between me and you. Like, there's a lot of guys that I love that don't know that I love them because they think that I'm such a hard ass. So, love to everyone. Love to. What are you laughing at?
No. I was trying to be quiet.
He's giggling. He's laughing at me.
I was trying to be quiet so we could hit an edit, and you just kept talking.
Oh.
All right. Okay. All right.
Sorry.
That's all right, mate. See you later.
Bye.
Big thanks to Jake for coming on the show. It is a big thing to go public with this sort of stuff. I mightn't feel like it's as big a thing to me because I do it all the time and it's sort of part and parcel to what I do here now. But for somebody who doesn't talk about it a hell of a lot and that open with it, it is a big thing to come on and talk about your issues, talk about your feelings, talk about all that sort of stuff. So big thank you to Jake for doing that. Like I said, one of my best mates in wrestling, one of my best mates in life. I love the guy. And yeah, it was just good to talk. And hopefully people took something away from this and maybe can apply it to themselves. Maybe it'll help them. Maybe it helps in some way, shape, or form. I really hope it does, because that's what we're all about here. Do follow his if you're into Twitch and you like watching that thing, do follow his channel and support him for that, because he does some great stuff there with his Porpoise Patrol and all of that sort of thing. They really are very big on mental health, those guys, and it's really good to see. Really encouraging to see that people are open and honest about their mental health. It's what we're all about right now here at Wrestle Radio Australia. Not an all episode, so I don't know how to wrap this up. Support local wrestlers, or you can wrestlemerch.com. That's how you can buy their merch. I know Jake's got some stuff on wrestlemerch.com. Just go on there and you can buy his merch. So that's a good way to support him. Other than that, if you've got a favorite wrestler, go and support them on that. Plenty of streaming services around. You can check out Fight TV, of course, had the PWA show this past weekend. Go and watch it if you can. It was great show, a great card. There wasn't a bad match on it, so please do go and check it out if you can. If you don't really feel like spending some money and you still want to watch some great wrestling action, Riot City Wrestling are on YouTube. Go and check those guys out. They just put up their Strike First, Strike Hard double header of shows up on YouTube last week. I watched both of them over the weekend. I did a quick review for them, so you can go and check that out if you wish. Deathmatch Down Under, I just watched the double match for that on IWTV. That was a really good 2 nights of action for Deathmatch Down Under. I've said it before. I said 100. I'm not a hell of a lot into death matches, but I really do like the undercard, or not the undercard, but the card around the death matches. A lot of those matches were really, really good, especially in the tournament style that show was in. So go and check them out. You can support us by going to Wrestle Radio Australia, buying some merch. Anything with Wrestle Radio Australia on it that you buy, I'll be putting up the new design really soon. Anything you buy from that, the support, the money from it goes to support Beyond Blue and Gotcha for Life, 2 charities that we really do support here at Wrestle Radio Australia. And until next week, or maybe even sooner, because I believe I'm going to be catching up with someone else later on in the week for another chat like this, because I think it's important that you hear from a few different people. And also to anyone out there, wrestler out there in Australia, if you want to come on the show and have a honest, open chat about mental health like we're doing here throughout the month. I'm going to leave it open for that. So if you want to slide into the Wrestle Radio Australia DMs on Twitter or in Facebook, we're at Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter, at Wrestle Radio AU on Instagram, Wrestle Radio AU on Facebook. Slide into one of those, hit me up, and we'll see about getting you on the show and having a chat and just catching up, because that's what it's all about, catching up, looking after your mates. Until I see you next time, this is Todd Eastman. It's my opinion, and you're entitled to it. You won't have seen this, but I accidentally gave out my shoot name before. We'll see you next week right here, Wrestle Radio Australia.
Too sweet, yeah. Too sweet, put your fangs up. Too sweet, pour another cup. Let's be busy 23.